When an animated film tends to do well, studios will usually be like, oh boy, this sounds like a lot of money. They'll get really excited and they'll just dump loads of money into creating a show that's either really good or it's a slot fest. I'm always kind of, off-put when a movie is really good and then they're like, oh, let's create a show, because sometimes it can expand upon the universe, create good lore for the characters, or sometimes it's just unnecessary and clearly just a cash grab. But was Kung Fu Panda, Legends of Awesomeness, amazing, or did it fall under that category of being extremely unnecessary? That is the question we're going to be trying to answer today by taking a look at some of the best episodes, some of the worst episodes, and some random episodes to see, is it a hidden gem, or is it awful? And if you like content just like this, please make sure to like and subscribe, because I upload almost every single day. And if you want a place where you can talk about your favorite games, movies, shows, all that good stuff, my Discord will be in the description. Now let's finally take a look at Kung Fu Panda, Legends of Awesomeness. Starting us off, taking a look at one of the best episodes in the series with a 8.1 on IMDb, we have the episode Shifu's Back, and just immediately, the intro to the show goes unbelievably hard. Master Shifu saw the warrior blossom and mastered the skills of bodacious and awesome Kung Fu Panda. It's so good.
Bodacious and awesome Kung Fu Panda.
It's unbelievably good. How hard they went on this for no reason. They didn't need to do that, but this would get you hyped to watch the show. And by the way, I didn't look up who the voice actor's name is, but he sounds exactly like Jack Black. It's kind of uncanny. They picked the perfect guy to voice Po. That's the one thing about all of these shows when it's a movie. If it doesn't sound the same, it's kind of hard to, get attached to the characters in the same way, because usually the movie voice actors, they're so unbelievably perfect for that role that the TV actors can't usually live up to it. But here, he sounds just like Jack Black, so I'm all for it. Either way, this episode is honestly really funny. It does have its low points where it gets a little bit boring, but it makes up for it with how actually comedic the show is. So it opens with just, kind of how the first Dragon Warrior, I mean Kung Fu Panda movie opened, with like that 2D art style, and he's talking about, oh, we were fighting crime, but then we needed a permit. And it's just kind of making fun of the DMV system and how hard it is to get things going in life, which I found to be pretty funny. I enjoyed that joke a lot. And so they're just waiting for the permit. We cut to everybody. It's been like 2 months. They're all just, goofing around. Shifu shows up and he's like, why aren't you training? Why aren't you all training? Oh, you must train. And Po's all like, but circus. And he's on like a giant wire up in the sky, and he falls off, and I'm immediately like, oh wow, everybody's so caring for Po. They're so happy to just help him up. And then you realize why, and it's because he fell on top of Shifu.
It's okay, I'm fine.
Po! You fell on him! Get up! Are you alright, Master Shifu?
Oh my god. That got me to laugh so hard, and Shifu's just in unbelievable agony. Like, genuinely, like, every time they even touch his body, he's like, ah! Ah! It's actually really funny. Like, the voice actor went so hard with all of those scenes, but I'm all for it. This elephant shows up, gives them the permit, and they can go and fight, but Shifu's all like, no, Po, you must stay, you must help me, please! I mean, he doesn't say please, it's just an order, and, Po just basically destroyed a red panda's spine, broke it in half, and he doesn't really want to help him, which I thought was kind of weird. Like, oh man, sorry, I just broke your spine, and every time somebody touches you, it's like somebody's giving you testicular torsion, but I don't really want to help you. And so we get this scene where he's trying to get him off of the ground, and he's just screaming non-stop, which, again, it's kind of a Shifu torture episode, but it's funny. Like, I can't lie. Like, I hate torture episodes where a character doesn't really deserve it, but when it's so overly funny, I just can't argue the fact that it's really good. So then he does manage to get Shifu into the Jade Palace, and he's just doing a bunch of stuff for him, which I thought was kind of a low point for the episode. I wasn't really having that much fun, to say the least. But, That's when the elephant shows up, the guy who gave them the permit, and Superintendent Wu, to see about the Jade Palace because they might get shut down and a police force might overtake the Furious Five so they can't go and fight crime, which, okay, that could be pretty bad. So the elephant walks in and they're like, Shifu, you gotta get up. So we get another scene where they're trying to get Shifu up, and again, the voice actor is just like, ah!
We're just gonna... Maybe we'll just... What is that screaming?
Like, genuinely, it's like they brought like a little guy into the studio, and just every time Shifu's about to talk, just nut punch, nut punch, nut punch, kidney shot, kidney shot. Like, I don't know if they locked him in the basement, starved him for weeks, and was just showing him a full-on pizza, just like, oh, you want it? You want it? He's like, yes! Ah! Just trying to just give this guy immense pain. Maybe they killed his entire family. But either way, the voice actor, he should have earned a pretty penny for this role, because, man, those screams are awful. So they find out that they can make this potion that will potentially alleviate all muscle stress, all muscle tension. Good, wonderful. So Po goes to make it, and he decides to make it extra strong, extra strong. And that's when the episode got really funny for me, because Shifu just gets high as fuck. Like, he's zooted off of his mind, and all the things he says are just unbelievably funny.
I like kumquats. Whee! And they like me.
I don't know, I just think it's really funny. So they have to put him into a baby carrier to show Superintendent Wu around, because Po's pretending to be Shifu, and so they're just showing him around, and he's just in the baby carrier, and he's like, oh god, and he just says shit like, I have fingers, I have fingers, and it's really funny.
Like a bean bun.
I have fingers.
I'm not describing it very well, but it's genuinely hilarious. And so Shifu eventually has to do this entire course because Superintendent Wu believes that he's the Dragon Warrior. So that like super death training course machine that they did in the first movie, that's what Shifu has to do, and he actually was pretty good for it. For a guy who's zooted out of his mind, he's doing good. He like flies through this ring and he says, "Walnuts for everybody." That was really fucking funny.
Walnuts for everyone.
That was honestly hilarious. And then the Furious Five show up and they ruin everything by pointing out the fact that it is Shifu, which I guess, you know, you need your plot devices, everything can't work out normally, but for the majority of the time, that was just really funny. Like, again, there are some low points that are a little bit annoying, where the characters are just talking, and yes, Shifu screaming in torment was funny, but it kind of went on for a little bit too long. Like, Po, for like 45 seconds is just trying to pick him up off the ground while he's just like, ah, and it just goes on for a very long time that you actually start to feel a little bit bad for him. But either way, Superintendent Wu's out in the forest and he sees these three piggies and they're like, "Oh no, bro, we're gonna take you and we're gonna use you up, you stupid little goat. Oh no, we're gonna use you real good." So this goat is now afraid of getting used up, used dry, and hosed down by these big meaty pigs. And so Po and Master Shifu go to fight them. And, you know, for this probably not having the biggest budget in the world, the fight scene was not bad at all. I was actually having a pretty decent time. It really heats up when Po realizes that the best way to fight three big meaty pigs with their pork and muscles, they decide to put Shifu back on the baby carrier and they start fighting with the baby carrier, which again was really entertaining. I cannot even remotely complain about that. I was enjoying that, watching Shifu in a baby carrier doing push-ups on the ground while Po's just beating people. It's just great. And so those dirty, stinking porkers, they get beat, they get ostracized, and they gotta run away. And a happy ending, they get the Jade Palace back. Wonderful, great, enjoyable. Honestly, this was a lot of fun for my return to Kung Fu Panda Legends of Awesomeness. I didn't really have any hesitations that this would probably be good. I don't have any bad memories about this show, so I'm pleasantly surprised. Again, there are some slower moments in the episode. It kind of feels like, you know, maybe 22 minutes of content was kind of reaching for the stars, because some of the scenes it feels like, we're just kind of wasting time, you know? But it makes up for it, because at the end of every single scene where I was like, kinda getting bored. There was a really funny joke, something to get me back into the episode, so I think the pacing, even though it could be a little slow at times, it's still overall good. If I was to rate this episode 1 to 10, I would probably give it a solid 9 out of 10. I haven't laughed this much while watching an animated show in a while. I've been watching a lot of shit shows, so this felt really good. A solid 9 out of 10. We got a good fight scene, good comedy, good premise. I enjoyed the majority of it. The only thing holding it back from a 10 out of 10 is those slow moments. Heading on over to the worst category with a 6.7 on IMDb, we have the episode Scorpion Sting, and for the most part, I actually really enjoyed this episode. It has a pretty decent opening where they're just doing the training course once again, and Tigress sneezes, which ruins everything, but we also get to see what sneak attack training is, which is basically where you go, "Duh!" and then just beat them, slap them, slaughter them. Yeah.
The unexpected.
What?
So, next time you're in quite a pickle, you know, guy holding a knife to your chest, just, give me your money, baby. You just go, and then you just punch him in the face, never see it coming. So, there you go. Kung Fu Panda Legends of Awesomeness is a great training instruction course, but of course. And so Tigress is apparently sick, that's why she sneezed, and she is dying. So they have to go to this valley. And we get this cool backstory about this scorpion who used to be one of the best healers in the valley, but accidentally got corrupted, which transformed her body from a small scorpion into like this big demonic red scorpion who now collects skulls and heads of anyone who goes into the valley and kills anybody who's trying to get the medicine. Tell me that single plot alone doesn't sound better than the fourth Kung Fu Panda. And you know, I'm a little biased because I haven't even watched the fourth Kung Fu Panda because I heard that it wasn't as good as the first three. And I don't want to taint my beautiful love for Po and the world of Kung Fu and pandas. So I didn't want to taint that, so I haven't watched the movie. But this does sound better than a chameleon who just transforms into former villains, at least in my opinion. So it's going to be Po and Monkey heading there, and I like Po and Monkey. I think they're a pretty fun dynamic. But Monkey, he immediately gets snatched by the scorpion, falls into this pit, and gets stabbed with some poison, which was kind of a gruesome scene. He's like, that's the best way that I could describe it. I don't know. He just starts getting tortured, and he is now under mind control, and he's like, I must destroy Po. And here is where we really get to showcase that Monkey kind of fucking sucks. Like, he's awful. Like, Po is completely unaware, or Po is just a Chad. Po is completely unaware that Monkey is trying to kill him for so long, and Po is just tanking everything, and Monkey just sucks. Like, Monkey is deliberately trying to murder him, and Po just stops it at every turn. Either way, leads to some really funny scenes. Monkey just trying to brutally murder Po while Po is oblivious is just really hilarious. I enjoyed that a lot. That goes on for like 5 minutes. We get a bunch of great scenes out of that. I was all for it, with Po just annihilating him.
Oh, the orchid is in there.
They eventually get to the scorpion door, and he's trying to get in, and he eventually does realize that Monkey is actually trying to kill him. Monkey has a bunch of swords, and because of the power of friendship, oh my god, oh Monkey, I know your brain is full of juicy, succulent poison right now, but remember that we're friends. We're friends, Monkey. And Monkey's like, friends? Po? Yeah, because, of course, you know, if somebody just, dosed me up with Fent and I was doing the Fenny nod, screaming, aching, bring me more Fent. But then they were like, but wait, you're my friend. I'd be like, of course, pardon me. Bring me some soggy toast and beans right away, oh lord. Yeah, because that's how it works. Either way, whatever. They eventually sneak into the scorpion's lair because the scorpion thinks that Monkey killed Po, and that's when we get the scorpion versus Monkey and Po, which was a decent enough fight. I mean, the main highlight of it was the fact that Po used the and then just belly bounces her into a wall and beats her. So that was pretty cool. Can't even lie, Po's got that nonchalant energy to where he could just be such a smooth criminal with it. Just 1 second he's just boom, boom, boom. The next second he's like, you'll never see it coming. Like, genuinely. Like, that's how you could win any fight. any fight ever. Like, that's how people can beat Islam. Just, he's about to take you down, he's about to tap you out, and you just hit him with, duh! That's all you need in life. That's really all you need. Screw going to Dagestan. You just take it like a champ and just, duh! Yeah, that'd be great. This episode was really good. I enjoyed it. For one of the worst episodes, I really loved the concept. I loved the entire build of it. I thought Scorpion was a really cool villain. Honestly, like movie level, I don't know why they decided, let's make a chameleon who could transform into former villains. That's just so lame. That's so lame. Who wants it? Oh my god, it's Tai Lung. Oh my god, it's Shen. Is that how people were in the theater? No, they weren't. They probably didn't care. Either way, still pretty decent. If I was to rate this 1 to 10, I would probably give it a solid 8 out of 10. I had a fun time. The next best episode that I'm going to be taking a look at with a 8.0 on IMDb is Tigress's Tale, and this is the perfect kind of episode if you want to expand on your movies. If you plop this episode in between Kung Fu Panda 1 and Kung Fu Panda 2 to help you understand how the characters got to where they were in the second movie, this is actually the perfect episode for that. It develops the characters in a very meaningful way, and I guess that's why I admire it so much. This was just perfect from beginning to end. It opens with Tigress just enjoying a mellow kung fu life. She gets up early, she's enjoying a mellow breakfast, and she tries to get in some training, but Po is just a little bit of a menace and just wants to be silly and goofy, a silly, goofy, fat, sexy panda. That's how he views himself. That's his goals in life. And one thing I notice is Po is kind of extremely racist. I don't know. Just in a world where everything is a talking animal and his dad is a goose, you would think he would be a little bit more tolerable, but when this goose shows up and is just screaming, emergency, emergency, Po just storms in there. Tigress is like, what's wrong? Po just shoves her out of the way and is like, I speak goose. Honk.
What?
I'll handle this. My dad's a goose.
Honk. What's wrong? Like, bro, your dad is a goose. He even says my dad is a goose before doing this. You racist fuck. What's wrong with you? If you know that your father is a capable being, why are you looking down on this goose? I have not seen one foreign language in the movies or in the show yet, so you're clearly just being a racist fuck, Po. What's wrong with you? And the goose says that Mugan is on her way, a kung fu master. She arrives, and Po is just a racist again. He takes one look at this character who is a fish. Yes, a fish in just a giant, rectangle of water, prism of water, and he's like, there can't be a kung fu master. You racist man, you racist panda. What's wrong with you? They are teaching children to be racist against animals. How dare they? Either way, beyond that, Mugan is here to look for a warrior to go and train with her at her palace, and because Tigress is sick of all the nonsense, she decides to go with her. And we actually get a lot of really good scenes out of this transition. We have the journey. Tigress is initially really pumped. She's having a great time. And I actually love the progression of how the story is told, because Tigress is having such a great time. She just destroys things, but she's never good enough for Mugan. So she's doing a great job with all the training. And I gotta say, all the training scenes are actually bangers. They actually do really good with fluid movement in the show. Like Tigress will bounce, destroy one thing, bounce, destroy another thing. And I feel like a common thing that a lot of shows will do when they don't have the highest budget is they will do like comic frames where like it shows a punch and then the screen just blacks out and then it shows it destroyed without actually just like showcasing it being destroyed. But here we get to see a little bit of everything. And in between this, we get to see Tigress's nights and Po's nights, and I think this is truly where I could see the progression from the first movie to the second movie, which I truly appreciate. I wish I watched more of this as a kid before in between the movies, because I always wondered, like, oh man, Tigress really cares about Po. Like that one scene where it's like, I care about you, Po. I'm not gonna let you go and die to the dirty, stinky peacock. In the second movie, I always wondered how it got there, because the first movie, he was kind of still looked down upon, but he was the master who defeated Tai Lung, so he had respect. But this is a great in-between to actually show you how it happened. Hell yeah, baby, I'm all for it. And so Tigress slowly begins to have her mental state declining because she actually begins to miss her friends, and specifically Po, staring at the action figure that Po gave to her. And Po, at the same time, he's trying to become more into Kung Fu. He gets rid of the silly stuff in his room. He gets rid of all of that, and he wants to go and get Tigress back. At the same time, Tigress learns about Mugan's former warrior, who was just basically pussy whipped. I don't know if Mugan has a fetish for slavery or cockfighting, because that's kind of how it feels. It feels like she's a dirty cockfighting fish, because she's just like, work for me, dry. There's nothing in life but Kung Fu. And you look at the guy that was formerly her warrior that would just train constantly, and I'm wondering, what is the benefit of this? Because he clearly just trained until he was old and brittle. He was a blue collar worker up until his 70s, and now his bones are just falling off. He's just melting, and he's just like, Marlboro Reds, I'm working like a dog. That's basically what happened to that poor guy. He's got a limp and everything. It's just tragic what happened to him. So eventually Po does arrive, and he sneaks in there, and that's when we get to see the full fight between Tigress and Mugan. And honestly, it's a pretty cool fight for a fish fighting a tiger. It slaps, you know. The Mugan just bounces from water bowl to water bowl, just slapping her. Tigress is trying her best, but Mugan is just too powerful. And it really got me thinking. I mean, it was immediately answered in the episode, but I was thinking, so if a fish is a kung fu master and she has to like save people, is she just like limited to if there's a fucking water fountain around, a pond, something like that? It doesn't seem very useful for a fish to be a kung fu master, especially when you're living in the middle of China where there's just not a lot of water, because Po immediately, he's all like, well, I'm just gonna push over her pots of water, and then she's defeated. Wow. Awesome. So you're telling me if somebody invades China and she's the last kung fu master alive, they're just gonna be like, here, 50-50, come and get me, and stand 20 feet away from her water bowl? That's awesome. Either way, still really cool fight. I understand the limitations, and seeing a fish fight in 3D against a tiger, it's still a lot of fun. So yeah, Tigress and Po, they go home with a newfound respect, a newfound friendship, and it's honestly beautiful. Absolute cinema, everything you could need in life. I had a great time. This episode truly just encapsulated what I think a show like this is supposed to be, to expand the world, expand the characters, and give you more depth in between the movies, and it does just that. I understand why Tigress cares a lot for Po in the second movie, and I understand why Po can be a little bit more serious in the second movie. They had to grow, they had to learn, and I appreciate that a lot. I appreciate that they just don't lean fully into the silliness of it, because it didn't have to be that deep. You don't have to develop the characters. You could just focus on getting that bag, getting that money, you know, the legend of the Kung Fu Panda! Like, that intro alone is gonna just loop in a Cocomelon brain-rotted child, but they decided to do so much more with that, and I really appreciate that. So if I was to rate this episode 1 to 10, I would give it a 10 out of 10. It is exactly the kind of episode that I was hoping to see in this review. Taking a look at one of the worst episodes in the series with a 6.5 on IMDb, we have Face Full of Fear, and this episode is kind of lacking in the comedy department. Po is not as funny here, the concept isn't very funny, but I will say that it is decently entertaining. It might not be the funniest episode, but not everything needs to be hilarious. So this episode opens with this bull guy who wants to steal like barrels of gunpowder or something, which is pretty cool. It's just opening with a fight, you know? I'm all down to watch a CGI panda kick some dirty ass, and that's what he does, until these three little kids run up and they're like, oh, Po, we're being bullied, oh, help us, Po. And so, they go into town and we find the bunny, who turns out to be a rabbit, and he manages to scare the kid. He's like, ah! Sorry if that actually frightened you and you now no longer want to watch the video. I perfectly understand if you're shaking in your fucking boots, terrified. But either way, the parent comes over and it's revealed to be Po's former childhood bully. And he's like, oh, hey, Po. Oh, you see, you're still at it again, buddy, aren't ya? And so he starts jumping at Po, giving him a purple nurples, wet willies, all that good stuff.
I got something for you. It's a purple nurple!
And Po is just stuck in his fear. He doesn't know what to do, and he just gets bullied a lot in this episode. The bull guy villain from earlier, he sees this and starts using Pen Fang as a weapon, that's his name, and just Po gets bullied a lot. Maybe that's kind of the fault with the episode and why it's reviewed so low. It's just kind of the same thing over and over again. But visually, it's a lot of fun to watch this tiny-ass little bunny jump on top of a big old fat panda and just, you know, just getting them real good with those purple nurples, those wet willies, all that. It's fun. Visually, it's a lot of fun. Eventually, they do steal all the gunpowder, and they come back into town with this giant, like, rocket, and so Pen Fang and Po, they're fighting, but Po's like, I'm not scared of you anymore, you dirty, stinky rabbit, we have to save the Jade Palace, so they put their powers combined, and they fight the bull guy, and they manage to save the day. It's okay. It just doesn't have as many memorable moments, I feel. I feel like I'm probably gonna forget about this episode in about an hour and never think about it ever again. It kind of feels like it's going through the motions. Visually, it's a lot of fun, but there's just not a lot of memorable characterization going on to actually keep me invested in any scene. I can't really remember a single joke that was attempted to be made in the episode. Really, all I remember is this tiny little fuck rabbit hopping onto Po and just being like, that's really all I remember. It's definitely okay. If I was to rate this episode 1 to 10, I would probably give it a 6 out of 10. Again, I just feel like it's lacking certain scenes, boosting it over the edge to actually make it a memorable episode. That's just what's holding it back. Heading over to the random category with a 7.2 on IMDb, we have War of Noodles, and I specifically chose this episode because of the title, because I was thinking, okay, I want to see how this show does when it's mainly just slice of life, and honestly, it's not too shabby. This episode opens with Hoondoon, this rhino guy. He's like, oh, Po, I don't like you very much, but I opened my own noodle shop, man. It's going to be totally tubular, bro. That's not at all how he talks, but, you know, you get the gist. He opens a noodle shop, and Mr. Ping is very jealous of this. He doesn't like it even remotely, so we get the battle of the noodles, you know? Mr. Ping's just very angry, and at the same time, Hoondoon just seems like very average, very noble guy. I'm all for it. So we get a couple scenes where Mr. Ping is like a spy, trying to learn about his ways, trying to, you know, see if he's on it to his villainous actions, you know? All that good stuff. And for the most part, it's pretty down to earth for a while. It's just pretty good fun. Eventually, Mr. Ping does convince Po to go into the shop, which causes a pretty good brawl, you know, watching a fat panda fight against a big gorilla, a tiny bunny, a pig, just laying waste to them. I'm not complaining.
I beat up your waiters. Won't do that again.
You know, I wish I could show this to a Victorian child, just be like, oh, I know you're starving, young boy, but look at what we have in a few hundred years. It's a panda, and he fights, he does kung fu. And they would just be staring at me with awe, just begging and pleading for some bread. I don't know, these are just the things I think about in life, and I don't know, it's morally wrong. But I don't know, just the thought of showing just somebody in Europe Kung Fu Panda 500 years ago, it nuzzles me the right way. I like it. I just love that thought. So the episode continues on. Hoondoon isn't doing anything wrong, so Po just continues and he starts like a little bidding war where he tries to help Hoondoon, tries to help Mr. Ping, until Mr. Ping gets kidnapped by Hoondoon, and it's revealed that he is a criminal once again, and he's trying to blow up the Jade Palace. And I'm not gonna lie, while I was watching the end of this episode, I kind of tuned out. I don't know why. All I could really get from it was that Po was fighting the rhino and everybody, and he gets, you know, pinned down by this column, and then he's just like, I won't let you die, Dad! Lifts it up, and then saves him, and then does like the firework rocket thing where he just pins all the villains at the same time, beats them all at the same time.
I hate you.
Good stuff, you know? It's not too shabby. For what I thought was going to be a slice of life episode, I actually got a lot of action here. So, I'm all for it. I'm surprised how much action they do for this show. You would think, they're just trying to make a quick buck, but no, it seems like there's actually some passion in what goes on here. They're trying to expand the world, they're trying to get you to laugh, and they're trying to tell unique stories. So I'm all for it. Very much all for it. I was having a very dandy old time. If I was to rate this episode 1 to 10, I would give it a 7 out of 10. There's inherently nothing wrong with it. It's just good fun. Yeah, that's all I could say. Kung Fu Panda Legends of Awesomeness is honestly the perfect transition from movie to show because it actually doesn't feel unnecessary. It doesn't feel like a cash grab. It feels like the people wanted to make this. There was passion behind it, and there was a will to actually expand upon the world. That's what I love so much about it. It introduces really cool new villains. It expands Poe's character, Tigress's character. We didn't get that much from many other characters except maybe Monkey, but either way, just getting to see more of them kinda makes the movies better for me. And that's what it's all about when you're transitioning from movie to show. It has to feel like that. Otherwise, it just feels like a soulless cash grab. Just, oh, this movie did really well. Let's just make a TV show so we could profit more. But this doesn't really feel like that. It feels like the people who made it, they loved the movies and they just wanted to expand upon the world. And hey, they made some money doing it, but I didn't have a bad time watching it. And I would love to revisit this show sometime because I know Wallace Shawn voices one of the villains, and I'm actually very sad that I didn't pick an episode that has Wallace Shawn in it, but, here we are anyway. I love me some Wallace Shawn and his little bald head. Little guy. Yeah, he's pretty cool. So maybe I'll revisit this show someday. That's always a positive when I'm taking a look at the series where I explore shows that I never fully gave a chance, and it's just always good when it ends on a positive note. So if you like this video, please make sure you like and subscribe. I got plenty of good content on the way, and you don't want to miss it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.